I think it's fair to say that the Beatles were all about peace and love and honesty and truthfulness and keeping it real. And I think that it's also fair to say that as far as their legacy projects go, it should also be about keeping it real and authenticity. And I know that I just did that one video about the 1995 anthology, and a lot of things that George Martin had to say about it were about the Beatles keeping it real. That the thing that's magical about the Beatles anthology was about those outtakes that had all the little mistakes, etc.
Wait a lonely lifetime. If you want me to, I won't.
Yes, you will.
And the practices, all the practice takes and the mistakes and the studio chatter, all of that stuff. We love that stuff because that's them, warts and all. And that's what George was saying. He used that word like warts and all. And I know that George Harrison, talking about the movie Let It Be, the original Let It Be, and they all had reason to hate that movie, but he was saying, yeah, I guess, it's pretty bad. Some of it, it didn't feel good. I don't like looking at it. But, it's kind of good because it's us, warts and all. So they certainly didn't mind being honest and truthful. And again, like just with Paul McCartney talking about him taking LSD. Paul said, yeah, I take it. You want me to answer you? I could have lied to you and said, no, I don't take it. But yeah, I'm going to be honest with you and say, yeah, I did this. So they are pretty much about, sticking together with the truth and keeping it real. And that's the magic thing about the Beatles, okay? Is like, this is really them. And I don't really think necessarily that they were crossing the line with when they were making Now and Then, because they did that separation, and I really appreciate it because they lifted up John's voice and put it front and center. It's a really beautiful thing, and Paul chose not to monkey around with his voice. Ringo didn't monkey around with his voice. I think in concert still, Paul doesn't monkey around with his voice. Thank you. Okay, this is the authenticity that we're looking for. And when you begin to monkey around with authenticity and the Beatles, and you begin to, do things like that, you begin to lose the Beatles. The Beatles get lost, underneath the layers of the BS. This is us. The layers of the BS, that's us. That's somebody else's vision. It's not the Beatles' vision. The Beatles is here. It's perfect, just as it is. Just like George Harrison's demo of, of While My Guitar Gently Weeps. It's perfect. Some people think you didn't need to put all this other stuff around it and make the album version of it. I love the album version. But it's kind of a masterpiece all of itself. Don't monkey with it. I'm not saying they're monkeying with it, but I'm just using that as an example. What if you auto-tune George? What in the world is that? What are you doing? It's not George then. The feeling's gone, the emotion's gone, the authenticity's gone. The thing that breaks our heart is gone. The thing that we love is gone. The Beatles are gone. Why would anybody want the Beatles to be gone? We are humans. We have emotions. We have feelings, and this is why everybody kind of connected with the Beatles. It's not because they sang on tune and were always in time. No. This was in the 60s that we fell in love with them, began the love affair then that keeps on going till now. Why does everybody think that they might know better? Sure, AI and all this other stuff, it has its place. Absolutely. But when you begin to see like the colorized stuff and all this other stuff, you're not making it better. You're not making it better. No, what you're doing is the Beatles are getting lost. You're racing them. You are just kind of, maybe you're creating a work of art or something, but you're certainly not the Beatles. So I'm not saying that, anybody's necessarily doing anything wrong, quote unquote, yet. But certainly this is how I feel, how I've always felt, as an artist myself. who, and what we love is the Beatles. And when you monkey around with their voices, maybe either with auto tuning or remixing too much, or, kind of changing around what their idea was, what their artistry was originally, that it's not the Beatles anymore. And, once you lose that, basically you're killing the golden goose. So if you're looking to make a buck or keep the legacy alive, you're blowing it, man. You're losing us. And I don't really think I'm talking about like just, fans that are my age, talking about new fans. Why would, you think that, hey, they want something, you think they want something with all this perfection? Beatles are perfection. I'm sorry, the Beatles are already perfect. There's no need to make them any more perfect, okay? With the color adjustment or whatever, or auto tuning or whatever. None of that needs to be done. It really, really doesn't. Why would you make them like everybody else? Then they become everything else. Then they become cookie cutter. They become vanilla. The Beatles didn't become the Beatles and didn't go all the way up here and to get where they are now because they wanted to be like everybody else. They were themselves. They were authentic. They were mistakes. They were warts and all. They were monkeying around. They were being jokey. They were not amazing musicians or perfect vocalists. None of that was true. They were great. Okay. Absolutely. They were like right on and beautiful and perfect. They were what they did. But what they did best was like that magic that they had is like it spoke to us. So if you start monkeying around with that, with all the emotions, taking out the emotions, taking out the feels, okay, flattening them out, then you get a flat piece of paper. Who wants that? Who wants that? No. The Beatles are bumpy. Okay, they're warts and all. They're bumpy. We want all of that stuff. I want to keep all that, not just for me, but for all the other people, the people who come next. Make the Beatles stand out. The Beatles wouldn't want to be just like everybody else. Yes, maybe it's the standard to, kind of make it all be the same and in key, timing, and perfect, and I get some of that stuff. But when you do too much, the Beatles get lost and they get washed away, etc. Just don't do it. Just keep it real, keep it authentic, keep it the Beatles, and you're going to be just fine. So maybe I'm going on and on a bit about it, but it's just super important to me. Like as an artist, I certainly wouldn't want anybody else taking my crummy artwork and kind of turning it into something else, saying, oh, this could be better. No, it couldn't. No, it couldn't. It's me. You want to do something, you go ahead and you copy it, then you put your name on it. Then it's yours. Okay? It's the same thing, man. Same thing. Okay? If you change something of somebody else's, then it's no longer theirs. It belongs to somebody else then. And it's not the Beatles. I mean, that's my little rant on that. And again, if they want to release whatever, I'm less into whatever they want to release. Let them release whatever they want to release, okay? I am not and I get why some people would want everything because we do want to hear everything, okay? Maybe they have reasons, okay, for not releasing things. And I don't know those reasons. I don't assume to know those reasons. I'm sure that all this stuff will get released sometime. It'll be just fine. And again, yeah, they've Apple or whoever, they've made mistakes in the past as far as releases, but I think overall, they've done okay. And I'm sure that, and I've got my fingers crossed that everything will be okay. That everything is going to be just fine. And I'm not mad at anything. I'm not upset with anything. And again, whatever's going to happen is just whatever's going to happen. I just, do not believe in monkeying around with perfection too much, okay? Maybe a little around the edges, but, just don't get too cute, okay? The Beatles are cute enough, man. Thanks so much for being here with me. I really appreciate it. And until next time, peace and love one another. Take care.